Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and as yet in this roster mania period, everything has made a fair amount of sense. Florida getting rid of Dave Paddy, bringing in an SMG player, London bringing back Gizmo, but all of a sudden things have gone up pretty haywire indeed. We've got Los Angeles, Guerrillas bringing back Spart potentially, even Paris making a change, and Florida getting rid of Vivid. What's going on today? Definitely going to dive into this one. Very much enjoyed to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Definitely some surprising and interesting moves to, well, potentially that are going on right now to discuss today. Firstly, a couple of players potentially on the horizon of making a return. Scraps, of course, says the following: anyone needs one for any Challenger Cups or events, let me know. So certainly with Modern Warfare 2 on the horizon, a game that Scraps and Waskin were rather good at, they might potentially be making some sort of a return. This also from Nuggerfin. If you guys have been around a few years, you guys all know, I mean, the most famous clip, I guess, is Nuggerfin with the routes, but he had that's Black Ops 3 Redwood. You guys might remember because that was like the only highlight they would use in that season for the highlight plays. But even before that, Advanced Warfare and stuff, Nuggerfin, very well-known sniper on teams like Elevate and the like back in the day, disappeared really for a few years, really, the last couple of seasons. So apparently he might be back in business. That's cool to see as well. And yes, Toronto, just to kind of dive into the situation with these roster changes, the Academy, the European Academy, are bringing in Wee Man because, of course, Gizmo has gone back to the London Royal Ravens. This then the CDL come out with last night, the point standings. Pretty sure, again, like, I know I joked about this a few weeks ago, that the CDL can't seem to get this stuff right, but they tweeted this out and it was wrong, because I think they'd copied their own website that was also wrong. But this, I believe, now are the correct standings. So, well, here we go. 8 teams are currently in the World Championship qualification spots. 4 teams are not, but certainly teams like the Minnesota Rokkr, I would expect on their current form, at least online form, to be able to do enough to get in this ballpark, especially with the way that Boston and Los Angeles Guerrillas have been looking as of late. They've been going, well, backwards, to be honest, the last stage or so, effectively. And other teams around them, LA Thieves, Toronto, Minnesota to a degree, getting good results, and Fulham Mutineers as well. They keep putting up top 6s at events, and of course, they're also looking to improve as well. So I think it's a tough time for these teams around this situation if you haven't been looking good lately, and also if you don't make a move. And certainly some of these teams, Guerrillas especially, we'll dive into in a few minutes, are looking to do exactly that. But Florida, I think, is kind of making the most interesting change of the day. But yeah, first of all, we'll just look at this from the Boston guys real quick, because we looked at yesterday, does this team need to change? Is that something they want to think about? I must say it's kind of incredible how quickly Methods went from like one of the best ARs in the game to dropping a 65, I mean 65 in terms of the Lion Man card ratings right here, but you can actually see if you look at this in detail, like his search and destroy stats are so bad, like not to really roast it, but I think it's just kind of incredible actually, how his kills per round, average damage per round, and also first blood rate, like he had no first bloods the entire stage, the full stage in stage 3, so he had no first bloods, he had 5 at first death, so it's not like he was even getting in a load of engagements for first blood as well, which I thought was kind of incredible. So yeah, don't know how often that happens when a player has 0 first bloods for an entire stage, but Methods of course realizes he's got to do better. He says 98 to 65, solid month at the office, and Clay's like, she's like, get me in there, what's going on, Zed? Put me in instead of you on the Boston team. Just blocked you on Zed's account so he doesn't see this, right? So kind of funny, the back and forth between these two guys, but it seems like Methods is pretty confident at least. This team is probably going to stay the same. I think they might have even, might have considered a change, but probably that's not going to happen. They're going to keep this roster, but I'm not really sure that's a good idea, to be honest. We talked yesterday about the possibility of, at least my idea might be to try and get Temp off Paris, put TJ on the sub, see how that works out, but we'll see what they decide to do over the coming days, if anything at all. Now, these 3 teams are the ones outside of London that have already made a change, bringing Gizmo in for Harry. These are the 3 teams expected to make moves. The rotation comes out first with it. Sources say LAG and Paris both expected to make changes shortly, and Florida possibly making more than 1 change. It's rather interesting, right? Because we thought that Florida roster, like, okay, Sky's Awakening, Vivid, plus 1 outside of Dave Paddy might actually improve to some degree. We talked about that a couple of days ago, maybe Prestinni, maybe Yee's bringing him in just off the sub bench, right? Just kind of another SMG to the team. Makes sense to kind of have another SMG pairing to Vivid, because Vivid, I think, can be a very impactful player, but often he is just, chucked out there on his own, effectively just, getting so many engagements, but his team isn't always there to follow him up, therefore drops pretty, bad statistical KD numbers as a result. But Skies and Awakening are pretty aggressive players, so like pairing them with a relatively aggressive SMG could make this team an absolute force, right? I think that's what people expected to happen, but apparently that's not what is going to be the case at all. So Clayster actually says this: new team, new me, we are winning everything. So as Charles points out, Clay, Fellow, 2 Real and Brack. So a couple of the players that Clay was teaming with, the likes of Spart, the likes of Johnny, now no longer on this roster. What is going on there? That actually seems to not be Florida related. We'll see it in a second. So as we see here on the Whatever It Takes roster, that kind of 2 Real and Brack team was formerly teaming with Neptune and MajorManiak, and these guys are now gone as well. So Neptune, MajorManiak, Johnny and Spart, those are the 4 players in discussion in the last 24 hours, and Clay and Fellow are kind of seeing what's going on here, because often in challenges you'll see once things start to happen in challenges, that means players are getting recruited into the pro side. This then the sources that Chrome comes out with. Mutineers are to trial more players, including MajorManiak and Neptune, likely in place of Vivid and Dave Paddy. So this is kind of incredible, actually. Like, this doesn't make really much sense to me, which is, you know, I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Because my thought process was, you get rid of Dave Paddy, like, yeah, maybe talented player, good comms, this type of stuff, but just, like, his pacing doesn't really seem to fit this roster, doesn't get that many engagements, like, the 70 and 70 meme that was kind of coming up towards the end of his tenure in this team. I thought, okay, bring in an SMG alongside Vivid, make this, like, a fast, aggressive team, difficult to deal with, like, it could be a real force, but instead of doing that, they're bringing in seemingly MajorManiak. At least they're trialing these players. This might not happen, of course, but I think they definitely want to get rid of Dave Paddy, and now they're trialing people in place of Vivid. Makes me wonder whether they want to keep him either, and probably will not, right, given the fact that if they're doing this, right, and Neptune and MajorManiak, they've already kind of left their challenges teams, like, you'd think that this is nearing conclusion, to be honest. So first of all, minus Dave Paddy plus MajorManiak, if that's what they want to do in terms of the AR role on their team, just doesn't really make any sense, right, because they've already got Skies of Awakening. The whole point was, I thought, is that, okay, like, fine, okay, the 3 AR project didn't work, like, let's just chalk it up and go down the route of actually doing a normal team with 2 ARs, 2 SMGs, effectively, and put Awakening maybe back on the flex, or whatever you want to do. Instead of that, you get rid of the slowest main AR, Dave Paddy, in the Pro League, and put in the slowest main AR from Minnesota's bench in MajorManiak, right? I know MajorManiak's kind of frustrated with what happened on Minnesota. He said he got disrespected by the team. He probably wants to be off that organization. I can understand that, but at the same time, minus Dave Paddy plus MajorManiak, like, okay, yes, Major probably brings good comms and stuff like this. I rate him as a player, but I just don't feel like this is the team that MajorManiak could possibly fit into, right? A slow main AR, like, that's pretty much what they've just got rid of in Dave Paddy, so I can't really see that that's much of an upgrade, if at all, especially to their overall pacing, right? Like, the team might get slightly better as a result of that particular one-for-one trade, but, like, I don't think it's going to change their core issues that's causing them to place top 6 at best every event, right? And then you've got the other point, which is minus Vivid plus Neptune, potentially, which doesn't really make much sense to me, because Neptune coming back into the team, like, we know he had his drama last year due to the comms and stuff with the likes of Awakening, Skies, didn't get on with him. It was kind of fractured relationship towards the end of their tenure. Neptune had a few words to say for them after he left the team at the end of the season, went to the subliners. Now, of course, he's trying to fight his way back into the Pro League. And then Neptune, again, like, I don't know, I think he can be an aggressive, good SMG player, but, like, Vivid, I don't know, I feel like he's super impactful, does an awful lot on the map, a lot of aggression in his gameplay that it seems like the Florida Mutineers need to have some of the success they have. I wonder if, you know, obviously Elgato doesn't just look at KD, but KD, of course, isn't the entire picture. And I mean, Neptune, we know on the subliners at the early part of the season, also was putting up, like, Dave Paddy-esque numbers, right? Not much kills, not many deaths, like, not much damage. So, like, you know, you do have to wonder what they're thinking inside this Florida camp, right? Maybe it'll work out, but I just can't really see that being particularly likely. And here we go for Vivid as well. A thing that, Lloyd Christmas points out to me right here. Who wants a team for Boston, says Chino, and Vivid, before he got deleted, comes in the replies to say, okay, yo, like, I'm down for it, and then tweets that following out. So it definitely does seem like Vivid might be on his way out of this team, which is very surprising to me, because I would have thought Vivid was pretty much like a mainstay on this roster, and I'm sure he should get a spot somewhere next year if they decide to get rid of him for the rest of the season. So not really sure if this is the idea for Florida Mutineers, but they might be looking at numbers like this, as kind of EasyMap points out, at the Toronto Open in the kind of, well, the amateur side. Neptune and MajorManiak together had unbelievable search and destroy performances in terms of stream matches only. So maybe they're looking at their search thinking, okay, if we can tune up our search with numbers like this, then they might be on form, right? But yeah, minus Vivid plus Neptune, minus Dave Paddy plus MajorManiak. I can't really see how it really fixes any of the team's problems, but definitely intrigued your perspective in the comment section below. As Ike says, even, like, Vivid is surprising. I think Vivid deserves a shot without Dave on the team. Neptune was like the SMG version of Dave Paddy, right? That's kind of what I was just getting at. That he was honestly very similar to Dave Paddy in terms of numbers, but as an SMG, it could work as Vanguard. Like, I think that's kind of a fair point. But yeah, as even TacticalRab Academy points out, no way Florida dropped the slowest main AR for the slowest main AR in challenges in disbelief. Now, of course, it's not just Florida that might be making a move. We've got other rosters as well. Neptune, MajorManiak, Johnny, and Spart. Those were the 4 guys that I just talked about, and supposedly Paris Legion are making this move with Johnny in for John. This has, like, incredible meme potential for, you know, Pack-a-Punch memes or whatever. The fact that John is becoming Johnny potentially. So Johnny, you know, challenges SMG player, recently in a bit of drama with Censor and stuff like that. We saw that a couple of days ago, but John, of course, definitely been the underperforming SMG on this team. I do wonder, like, if they do make this move, like, a fair play to Paris for actually trying it. We know that they're going to Las Vegas next season, the Las Vegas Legion, they're trying to call themselves or something, but, like, yeah, okay, fair play to a degree, trying to improve your team, because they've really only got stage 4, major 4 to fight for at this point, and I thought they might just say, okay, you know, screw it, we're not spending any more money, we're not going through any more effort, we're just going to leave this team for the rest of the season and let it be, but they want to get more than 2 series victories the entire season, I imagine. And in fairness, I thought people might be belling their line for, you know, the likes of Temp to bring him into another roster. So minus John plus Johnny in the SMG SMG role is possible, because we've talked about pretty much the entire season that the SMGs on this team, like, were just the weakest SMG duo in the league. John and Jimbo both were prone to 0.5s at any given moment. Like, even compared to some of the other poor SMG duos, they were certainly right down there, right? And that's, of course, going to cause some pretty bad results. Now, in fairness, the Los Angeles Guerrillas, their SMG duo hasn't exactly been spectacular lately either. Huke has been pretty underwhelming this season outside of the Major 2 Grand Finals. And then, of course, Asim was great at the start of the year, like one of the top 10 players in the game, I think, most certainly, but then has fallen off drastically since then. And apparently, they are looking to bring Spart back into the team. I don't really understand this, to be honest, because I thought that if you're going to do something like this, you probably want to, try and get a guy like Temp, or I don't know, try something, because they already tried this roster, like, and of course, they did win Major 2 with it, but after that, it fell off a cliff massively. They then put Gunless back in, and they probably looked worse, if anything. Now, Crone doesn't know whether they're looking to replace Gunless or Slasher. One of the two. Now, Slasher's been kind of chirpy on social media the last few days, so I kind of doubt it's here. It might be, but I kind of doubt they're going to get rid of Slasher here. I think they'll probably just go back to the team they won the Major with. But, I don't really understand this move. I feel like if you are going to make a change like this, you've got to try, like, another piece in the team, because going back to this situation, it's all too easy for this team to kind of run into the same roadblocks they found at the start of the Major 3 qualifiers, and all of a sudden fall off a cliff again. So these are the Lineman cards here for Major 3. You can see the numbers here that Asim actually technically has the highest rating based on kind of, relevance to, because of his role and stuff, but even those individual numbers are absolutely woeful. And you can see that comparing the ARs, Gunless, since coming back from that illness, was, a shadow really of the player that he was at the start of the season, when he was dropping, 1.05s, 1.1s, 1.15s on a consistent basis, and was looking like a pretty good player this season for this team. Since then, he's fallen off massively, right? So I wouldn't be surprised, minus Gunless plus Spart, just not sure it's what this team needs, to be honest. Yes, they won a Major with this team, but, we all know how that one worked out with the Volk and all that type of stuff. Paris also making changes as well, just let it go, bro, it's over. So, fair play for them actually giving this one a go. But, I am kind of surprised if no one is kind of ringing them up about Donny Temp, right? Because I feel like some of these teams, the likes of LAG, Boston, like, maybe not Florida Mutineers, but there's certainly some rosters that I think could benefit from a guy like Temp. We know, like, he's a very impactful player, by far the best player, I think, on this team right now. Like, I'd be surprised, to be honest, if they were not getting any offers at all. And we can look at the numbers right here. Look at the search and destroy KDs for Paris in terms of the SMGs. 0.62 for Jimbo, 0.57 for John. Like, legendary player, world champion, but it's probably his time to go, right? So yeah, apparently minus John plus Johnny is going to be the move for them. But very much intrigued to your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. And the final thing to mention as we close out the video, I'm not exactly sure what it looks like this season in terms of a roster lock. The previous couple of years, there's been a roster lock effectively before stage 5. Effectively, around about now, there'd be a roster lock such that you couldn't make any further changes going into Major 4 and the Major 4, actual tournament itself. But, maybe it's not the case this season, right? Who knows? Let's say after Major 4, can you bring in a player? Like, is it possible, of course, that, Paris don't qualify for the World Championships, which they're not going to, and then Donny Temp actually can get picked up just before champs for another team that might have been looking pretty bad at stage 4, but just about qualifies? I'm not really sure if that's possible. So I think it's more than likely that Temp won't be at champs this year, which is pretty tough scenes. But unfortunately, that is the Paris Legion effect. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. Tells the YouTube gods that's a good video. I don't like you should see it as well. And I'm great the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.